Donald Trump has been attacking Kamala Harris's racial identity.
He has not been, but ask your question.
Well, he questioned her racial identity. He said a number of years ago she happened to turn black. Her father is Jamaican. Do you believe Kamala Harris is black?
I believe that Kamala Harris is whatever she says she is, but I believe importantly that President Trump is right that she's a chameleon. She pretends to be one thing in front of one audience, she pretends to be something different in front of another audience. Look, Dana, she's not running a political campaign, she's running a movie. She only speaks to voters behind a teleprompter. Everything is scripted. She doesn't have her policy positions out there. She hasn't answered why she wanted to ban fracking, but now she doesn't. She wanted to fund police, but now she doesn't. She wanted to open the border, but now she doesn't. She should have to answer for why she presents a different set of policies to one audience and a different set of policies to another audience. And I think that's what President Trump is getting at. This is a fundamentally fake person. She's different depending on who she's in front of.
Is Vance on the spot here? Or is he just attacking Harris for no reason? Well, it's a good thing that we have previous clips of Kamala Harris so that we can tell if she's changed her position on different issues throughout the years or not. Check this one out.
Here's what Chameleon said about the border before she ran for president.
We have to have a secure border, but I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals. That's correct.
I believe if someone crosses over the border illegally, it is illegal, and you would decriminalize it.
I would not make it a crime punishable by jail. It should be a civil enforcement issue.
I know what a crime looks like, and I will tell you, an undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
And now here's what she is saying now that she is running for president.
Donald Trump does not care about border security. He only cares about himself. And when I am president, I will work to actually solve the problem.
Look in the mirror for the source of that problem, Ms. Border Czar. Does she not remember that under President Trump, the border was under control? And not only has the Biden-Harris regime allowed an estimated 20 million illegals to invade this country from over 180 countries, but they've incentivized this invasion with free housing, debit cards, health care, and more.
So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
The looks of it, both Trump and JD Vance are making sense here. She changes her position depending upon who she's talking to, and she does it solely for political purposes. Because you can't say that you're all for welcoming illegal immigrants and then turn around and say that you're going to fix the problem. You've been in office for almost 4 years, and this means that you're a part of the problem or straight up causing this problem. And this is the argument that's being made by the Trump-Vance campaign. If you were in office for 4 years and you're telling us that the problem hasn't been solved yet, then maybe it's time to let somebody else take the ball from this point on. Democratic Senator Mark Kelly, who was on the short list to become Harris's VP, got into some heat for this problem. In fact, he recently dodged several questions about the previous policy stances of Harris. Some questions he just outright rejected to answer, 2 of which dealt with the border. One was the decriminalization of illegal border crossings, and the other was the idea of getting rid of the ICE. However, mainstream media is making it seem as if all these problems long existed before the Biden-Harris campaign. And while some of it did exist, it was made worse by the decisions under President Joe Biden. Decisions that were supported by Vice President Kamala Harris. But here's where they try to persuade us that Kamala Harris is different. They're now saying that people can change their minds about particular policies. And this is exactly what CNN tried to pin on JD Vance because he himself has changed his opinion about Donald Trump.
With respect, you
Please.
changed your position on an important thing, which is Donald Trump.
Of course I did.
And so why are you not a chameleon?
Because, Dana, I've explained to the American people what's different. People change their minds when the facts change, they should. But if you want to be the people's vice president or president, you should have to stand before an interviewer and say, this is why I changed my mind. So to everybody who's seen that I criticized Donald Trump, since he asked the question, here are two things.
You didn't just criticize him. You said he could be America's Hitler.
Well, that's a criticism, and I didn't say that exactly, but set that to the side. What I said about Donald Trump and what I believed about Donald Trump, two things that really changed. First of all, I didn't think Donald Trump would be a good president. He was a great president. Wages were rising. The world was more peaceful. Remember, when Donald Trump was running for president the first time, they said he would start World War III. He brought more peace to the world than any president of my lifetime. The second thing, Dana, is I believed, and I'm ashamed of it, I believed a lot of the media lies about Donald Trump in 2016. I believe that he said things like, for example, the media said Donald Trump accused all Mexicans of being rapists and criminals. You actually look at what he said, he did not say that at all. And I think it's important when you see something, you change your mind, and that's all I've done. And my pitch to the American people would be, I imagine a lot of folks who are thinking about voting for Donald Trump in 2024, maybe they've bought in to the media lies about him. Think for yourself, look at what he actually said, and I think you'll find that he's, one, a very engaging guy, but two, was a very good president.
There aren't media lies.
Wow. Defensive much? And the media doesn't lie, right? That's what they're telling us. Well, here's ABC News and one of their top reporters, Jonathan Karl, lying to the American people about Kamala Harris.
The president put Vice President Kamala Harris in playing a critical role in terms of trying to stop the flow of migrants across the border. I mean, she was more than 2 years ago she got this responsibility.
No, she's not actually. She wasn't the borders.
And this is the network where Kamala Harris wants to have a debate with Trump in. No wonder she picked them and not Fox News or any other station. She knows that they're going to protect her no matter what. Even go so far as to change the truth on national television. And believe it or not, guys, there's a part of this interview where the host grilled JD Vance on his comments about Tim Walz and his time in the National Guard. And when presented with the fact that Walz did indeed say that he carried weapons in a war, the host said that Walz just misspoke and that he's corrected his mistake.
Hope woke up like many of you did 5 weeks ago and said, Dad, you're the only person I know who's in elected office. You need to stop what's happening with this. I'll take my kick in the butt for the NRA. I spent 25 years in the Army and I hunt. And I gave the money back, and I'll tell you what I have been doing. I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at. We won't do it by dividing us. We will doing it by bringing in responsible gun owners from the side to make this happen. Give me the opportunity to earn your endorsement. We will make these things happen in Minnesota and make sure that this state continues its long progressive tradition. Thanks for having me.
But what if JD Vance didn't call him out? Would he still do the same thing, or would he ride that lie all the way to November? This is where we're at right now, folks. It's getting more and more difficult to get the truth, but you guys know that I try and provide as much as I can on a daily basis. Now, on that note, I also did a previous video on particular Democratic voters that are now changing their minds. They have buyer's remorse and they're tired of the Biden-Harris administration, which is why some of them are now switching parties. This is an act that's becoming more and more common as we get closer and closer to the end of the year. So anyway, make sure you guys check out that video because it is a real fire starter. Before I go, thanks so much for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing and sharing this video. I'll see you guys on the next one.